the mic caught up.
God, it's everything all the time.
So, yes, Greg, Aaron did forget the YouTube stream.
Going now.
It's going now. All right, there we go. Oh, wow, that was an explosion, Aaron. All right.
I can't believe it. I remind myself 3 times before, and it doesn't matter.
You should tie a string around your finger. Beer 1 and we're already completely derailed. Wonderful. Good start. Strong start. So Foreman's, of course, being from British Columbia, they are the ones who do a lot of really interesting sour sours. They do their Nectarous Kettle Sour, which we sell kind of 12 months of the year. They've done some sour IPAs. They do have, we don't see them very often, but they do actually have some of the wild ferment bombers that come through every now and again. I've never had Persic before. This is actually my first time with this beer. I've had all of the other 3s before tonight, but this is my first time with a Persic. I really like how much peach I get out of it, and I do like that it's a little bit more, I don't know. Let's be very fair. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about Catharina Sours here, but Kettle Sours are kind of Kettle Sours. I mean, you can fruit them before or after. You can put fruit in with the boil, so I guess before, during, and after. I mean, but beyond that, they're a sour beer that you've soured in the kettle. They're not naturally fermented. They're very tart and very pretty, and the fruit flavors predominate. There, I've summed up 3 of the beers we're going to taste tonight. I like this because it's something a little different. It's not something we see very often, certainly not in something that's kind of under $20 for a 4-pack of tall cans. The fact that they did do something a little different here, they changed up the program, just not loads. I mean, if I just told you it was another kettle sour like the rest, you might have believed me. But it's not. It's something a little different. I really love that. And yes, Lauren, it was an absolutely spectacular promotional video. Almost good enough that we'll forgive Aaron for forgetting to start the YouTube stream.
Unreal.
It happens. What do you think of this one, Aaron?
It reminds me a bit of like this may be the Saison thing. The Belgian kind of like appeal.
Yeah, it has like a Belgian yeast spiciness and pepperiness and almost into that rubbery thing. And then the tartness just wipes it right out.
That's not my favorite.
No?
No.
I really groove on it.
And I understand that it's like...
Can the folks at home actually hear you?
No.
No.
Well,
a little through this?
Yeah.
We should kind of sort that out.
It's okay.
We should get you a mic with like a button on it so you can kind of click in and out. It had a really nice like clicky effect that everybody could hear when you know. Yeah, exactly
sure,
that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Get on that.
No, you won't. You're gonna just file that under stupid ideas Kyle had.
I'm gonna buy a chalk pen and write "Start YouTube stream" on the top of my laptop first.
See, I would appreciate that.
There you go.
All right, so that is actually a pretty good start. The Persic is fun, it's pretty, and I think it's gonna be a little divisive. I mean, you didn't like the Persic, I really did. I wonder how many other people are gonna be. I have a feeling this is either gonna finish towards the top for people, or it's gonna be right at the very end. So that'll be interesting to see. Right. So, for the next 3 beers, they are all, as I said, Kettle Sours. We're going to be doing the collaboration between Establishment and Blood Brothers, the Transcontinental Pop. We're going to be doing the Untold Glow by Annex. And then finally, we will be finishing with the Snake Lake Fieldberry Crush. So let's jump into beer number 2 here from our old friends at Establishment, which naturally means I'm drinking out of my Annex glass. Now this is a really cool one. This is a collab in theory. Now the folks from Blood Brothers and Establishment did get together, they did come up with the recipe themselves, but this isn't a beer where the Blood Brothers folks were at Establishment and the Establishment folks were at Blood Brothers. They each brewed their own. So there is a Toronto version brewed at Blood Brothers of this recipe, and there's a Calgary version brewed at Establishment, and they are actually separate beers. They are both the same malt bills, same fruit, everything else, but they are, you know, separated by a few thousand kilometers. We don't get the Blood Brothers version, but we do get Establishments. Vanilla and coconut are the oddballs in this, and then it is pineapple orange. Okay, so I've kind of come back and forth on this. When I first tasted this, I was really underwhelmed. I was like, okay, cool, it's got coconut and vanilla. I don't really taste it. All I get is like the orange, and I've had better sours. The more times I taste this, the more the coconut and vanilla grows for me. I would recommend just like keep dipping back. And for the people who keep selling like balloon smell, you're not wrong. I think that's the rubberiness. Okay, out of the can, it really smells like, and not even like blown up balloons, like the unblown up ones, whatever that powder is they put on them to keep them from sticking together in the bag. Yeah, it's exactly that smell.
Who's that?
Who said that specifically? Lorraine. Yeah, Lorraine and Brent had that. Yeah, the coconut in the mid-mouth is really interesting. I'm still not 100% sure I get the vanilla, but the combination of the coconut and the fruit kind of reminds me a little bit of Jam Rock with its like blackberry vanilla thing, where you get the tartness of the fruit and then kind of at the tail end the vanilla comes through to sweeten things up and round it out. The same thing happens here except with the coconut.
Good.
Now, right in the middle, I get something maybe that I think could be the vanilla, but I think it's just the coconut. I'm getting something that's like toasted marshmallow. And I don't know if that's just, I don't think the alcohol is high enough. No, it's only 5%. I don't think the alcohol is high enough that I would get that, you know, cooked sugar, spun sugar thing that you can get. I think that has to be coming from the coconut vanilla. And yeah, I was trying to avoid Pina Colada because it was such an obvious thing that I could dig into and, you know, oh, hey, it's a pineapple coconut beer. It's going to taste like a Pina Colada. It should. And I don't think you're wrong. I'd also say that, you know, I've been deliberately not saying the word creamsicle because to me it reminds me more of a creamsicle than it does a Pina Colada. Although I will say, Pina Colada is pretty darn close, especially in the finish. The coconut's really there. Also not as tart as a lot of establishment sours. You know, I think back to like Super Fusion or even Left My Wallet, and I get a lot more like immediate tartness. This seems to have the sourness dialed back a little bit. Maybe it's the sweetness coming from the coconut that's maybe, you know, making it seem a little sweeter and a little less tart, but I don't think so. I think they've gone with a little lighter touch on the tartness on this, and I really appreciate that. And I will say, the more that this warms up in the glass, the more that I'm starting to get some of those lifted aromas, some of the pineapple. Because I will admit, when this first got poured and it was quite cold, I couldn't have told you it was, you know, pineapple orange. I tended to just get this immediate hit of, you know, citrus fruit, but not very distinct. As this warms up, I'm starting to be able to pick out the orange and the pineapple separate from each other. Aaron, what do you think of this one? Hopefully people at home can hear you.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I don't think it's my favorite on the spread, but we'll get there.
We'll get there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little good desserty. I don't know. It's a little rich or something like that, but it's good. It's really nice.
I don't find it desserty. I think there's a point where, you know, maybe I wouldn't want more than 2 of these in an evening. I think the coconut would build. You know, I say that, and the more I dig into this, the more I like it. This is a beer that I think I've really had to warm up to more than most. You know, like the Persic, I kind of immediately liked. I love the idea of it. And there's lots of beers I love the idea of and don't end up not liking the beer. This, I love the idea, and then I got it in the glass, was like, eh. And then the more times I have this, because this is about my 3rd or 4th or 5th time having it, I've really come around to it, and I've really kind of embraced what it's doing, because maybe it's just I'm having a little warmer tonight, and I'm getting more out of it. I don't know.
Sure.
Oh, we're getting into mouthfeel already, and it's only beer 2. I will say, though, actually, while we're on that topic, and yes, hashtag mouthfeel and all the rest, I don't like mouthfeel on sours. I don't think they ever have, like, a mouth-filling or rich or satisfying weight on the palate. They always come off as lightly vinegary to me. I enjoy sours, even when I'm not doing the beer tasting. Like, when I'm out and somebody has a sour on tap or in cans, I'll often have a sour. But I've never, had a sour and said, wow, that is such a lovely mouthfeel. Not a real thing. Sours, they're enjoyable almost despite their texture. I like the tartness. I like how they feel, in terms of aroma and flavor and everything else. But mouthfeel, with me and sours, I've never had one I thought was actually, texturally interesting. I think that they're enjoyable despite the texture. Are there exceptions? Sure. Jamrock actually has a pretty cool mouthfeel, but that's very rare. Speaking of, let us jump into... Oh, wow, we're 20 minutes in already on beer 3. This has been a short one. Well, we'll stretch it out. We'll pad it out with fluff.
I don't know if we will.
You don't think so?
I don't know.
Okay, this one I think is particularly interesting. So this is a Catharina Sour, which is a Brazilian style of sour. Now these, like the Persic, they start out as actually being brewed as kind of North American style wheat beers. They are soured later, and they tend to be soured exclusively with tropical fruit, and they tend to be soured after they're boiled. They are fermented but not boiled fruit sours. This style, of course, most famous because of the Superfusion by Establishment. That is kind of the best selling of the Catharina Sours we get in Alberta. But, Annex is next door. They, quite rightfully kind of copied the style a little bit, as they should. This one surprises me in the sense that I thought when I tasted this was one of the best things Annex had ever made. This is right up there with like Terrestrial Magnetism or Original Echoes, or I think of a beer I like better than those two, and there aren't very darn many. This is one of those really top flight beers from Annex. I think if this said Cabin on it, it would have been sold out in about 20 minutes. I absolutely loved this. I had this for the first time on the patio with Morgan Rattray when we were setting up that Central Alberta beer tasting a few weeks ago. And yeah, we were just sitting around talking beer, and we had some Untold Glow, and it was just fantastic. And I knew I had to work it into a tasting, so I've kind of had this one in the back of my head as before we sold out of this, I had to build a tasting around it because this was a beer that I had to talk about because of how much I like it. So Catharina Sours, they tend to be more like an imperial sour. Again, like Belgian table beers, alcohol tends to be on the lower side. Most sours don't even approach 5% alcohol. I would consider a 5% sour to be as strong as most should be. This one is at 5.5, so this would edge into like imperial sour for me. Bright, fresh, tart, lots of fruit, and again, you get a little bit more body because of the fruit on this. It tends to drink a little nicer than most sours. And this one just does it for me. This is exactly what I like in a sour. The fruit is so on top, so accessible. Does it push the beer aspect to the background? Could this be, a really nice, RTD? Yeah, it could be. It's just got such a pretty, almost tea-like character to the fruit, in the sense that I don't feel like I'm drinking, a sour beer. I feel like I'm drinking something that has just really pretty secondary additions to it. I love the fruit on this. And yeah, I agree, Heather. It's amazing. Why isn't this already sold out? I don't know. This one came in, and maybe it was just a busy week for beer, but it was by far the nicest thing I thought I brought in that week, and it just kind of sat. And okay, yes, I brought in a ton of it. So we brought in like 10 flats. It hasn't sold badly by any means. This was something that should have been in every shopping basket from the day it showed up, and it wasn't, and I don't know why. Maybe it's just the fact that there's way too many new beers that come out all the time, and stuff is going to inevitably get lost in the shuffle. This shouldn't, though. This is absolute dynamite. And really, this was great. This was fun. This is just going to run the lineup for me quite comfortably, just because of how accessible the fruit is and just how big and generous this is. It's like a big fruity hug. I quite love this. This is exactly me. Barry says full flavor. I'm right there. Aaron, where are you on this one?
Dig it.
Dig it?
Dig it.
Very verbose answer. Thank you. You know what's funny, Aaron? I've actually been starting to get out of IPAs.
Get out of my face.
Genuinely, yeah. I was out last night and I had an IPA and it was great and everything and I enjoyed it. And then I didn't order a second one. I had a sour. And I will say...
Sour after the IPA.
Well, we were talking about this because, next week's lager tasting.
Yep.
And we've been both drinking a little bit more lager lately.
Yep.
I think I might finally be ready for like an IPA break. It's taken basically all of my 20s and the vast majority of my 30s.
Yep. Yep.
But I think I might finally be ready for an IPA break.
What do you got in mind?
I don't know. Maybe we just need to take a month off from IPAs, like a dry December sort of thing, but just for hoppy beer, and just don't do IPAs in August. Which would be very easy because I actually am not hosting two of the beer tastings in August.
Right.
Well,
yep.
the last one in August and the first one in September. I am away, so maybe somebody else could do an IPA tasting. But yeah,
If they choose.
If they choose.
So what are you alluding to here?
Well, what am I alluding to? I'm alluding to the fact that I think that I have been on this IPA kick for basically my entire life.
Sure.
And I think I've finally come to an end with it.
Yeah.
And I'm also very interested to see, A, what the other presenters are going to come up with while I'm away, and B, I don't think we're doing an IPA in August. Just straight up. No more IPAs for August. We're taking August off from IPA.
Well, I told you the story about how nice it was the other day to have we won't mention the name, but this absolute corporate lager I had was the most refreshing thing that I'd experienced in a while, and I don't know why. Why was that?
Maybe we'll dig into this a little bit more next week. Maybe we'll dig in more to why, sometimes you just want a lager. Sometimes you want a potato lager. I don't know why I said potato that way. But, sometimes it's not so bad. And I know, Matt, I'm right with you. I can't believe I'm at this place either. But I think it's finally happened to me.
Yep.
Years after everyone else, it happened to them. I think it finally happened to me.
Well, it's not to say you're over it, but we're ready for something else, and that might be ready to simplify, or...
I think it's going to mean we dig a little deeper for these beer tastings. I think we're going to try some new styles,
Sure.
We're going to try some new stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say a hoppy paleo won't creep in, but nope, nothing with the letter I. There's going to be no IPAs, no black IPAs, no imperial IPAs, none of that.
Yeah.
No. Not even a white IPA, not that anybody makes those anymore.
Yeah.
Nope, no IPAs. IPA-free August.
Huh. Okay.
It's like our beer Lent.
Well, you can't speak for the guest, hosts, but...
No, I can't speak for the guest hosts, but I'm not going to be here, so...
For you, yeah.
Not my thing.
Yeah, fair enough.
Also, it does not apply to my vacation because, we're going to BC where, I'm going to go to Phillips, and I'm totally drinking IPA myself, but,
Sure.
I'm at
Fine.
Phillips.
Yeah.
Although I will say, I don't really love Phillips IPAs, so... Well, we've got horribly sidetracked. Okay, let's jump into what we've got coming up next week as well as this Friday. This Friday we actually have a guest. We have Daryl from Lanigan & Edwards Wine Merchants, and we're going to do a little bit of summer wine from France and Italy. Tasting is $85 because I wildly underestimated how expensive some of these wines were going to be, but screw it, we're committed now, we're going to do it. From Bordeaux, we have Chateau Reynon. This is a Semillon and Sauvignon Blanc blend. As well as from Bordeaux, the Rosé de Chevalier. This is from Pessac Léonien. This is an exceptional one. I can't wait for you folks to taste this. From Provence, Chateau de l'Escarel. Provence, of course, most famous for the rosé, right on the Mediterranean. It's what Provence does. Do they do other things? Sure, but I mean it's a rosé region. If you're gonna do a French rosé tasting, you gotta taste Provence, and maybe we've done one Provence Rosé in all the wine tastings we've ever done. If we've done one, it's the only one, and it's kind of like doing Sauv Blanc tastings for a year and never doing New Zealand. You kind of have to talk about Provence. And then finally, we really went back and forth on what red we were going to do. We finally settled on this Morellino di Scansano, which is its own DOCG in Italy. Predominantly Sangiovese, kind of like a Tuscan red, but it's got its own kind of fun thing going on as well. So that's our lineup coming up. Those are Friday night, and our guest is a really interesting human being. I like Joe. He's someone that I've known by email for a while, but I have only met him in person recently. Partially a victim of the pandemic. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a fun one. Next up, next week, we are, as promised, doing lager. Because as Aaron said, when he's having a new love affair with Budweiser, king of beers. That's not true. It's Bud Light.
It was close.
Lime. So anyway, I wanted to do something around lagers anyway coming up, and then Establishment went and made this Spuds for you. So this is their take on an adjunct lager. Now, when we usually talk about adjunct lagers, we're talking about something like Budweiser, or Kokanee, or Canadian, or Pilsner, or something where the barley is cut with adjuncts because the adjuncts are cheaper. They're using corn or rice because per ton it's a lot cheaper than barley, and it gives the beer a very light, clean, some might say flavorless, style. Now, Establishment decided to kind of poke fun at that and use something that's actually per ton quite a bit more than barley, and they went with potatoes. So the adjunct in this case is actually a little bit more expensive than the grain, and they decided to just kind of make a poke fun at, big brewing little lager here, and it's called this Spuds for You. That's kind of our idea beer, and then we expanded it from there. Of course, the original lagers were from Germany and, of course, Czechoslovakia. So we have a German-style Pils as well as a German-style Helles. One is from Snake Lake up in Sylvan Lake, and one is by Cabin. Luminosity. I really like this beer. I think it's fun. Cabin, they do so many seasonals that sell it so quickly. Everybody knows Super Saturation. Everybody knows Retro Spectrum. Some people, myself included, really like Sunshine Rain. But Luminosity is in theory a year-round beer for them, but it's not one we talk about very often. Partially because you can't actually get it direct at Cabin. You have to order it through Connect. And because B, it's not really what I think of when I think of Cabin. When I think of Cabin, I think of big, loud, expressive beers, whereas Luminosity is very, very subtle. You could say the same thing about Retro Spectrum, but that's been a launch beer. It was one of the very first beers. I don't know, this one's fun and we don't talk about it enough. Finally, from Campier Brewing, this one's really cool. This is a Smash. Smash stands for single malt and single hop. So one type of hops, one type of grain, done as like a lightly hoppy lager. Just kind of a fun summertime beer. This is going to be one of the least serious tastings we do all year, but it often happens when we do these tastings of very simple, subtle beers that are all supposed to taste very similar. We start finding all the little subtle differences, and we start picking them apart. All of a sudden, the tasting ends up lasting an hour and 15 minutes. So these can be really fun. So that is coming up 1 week from tonight. Now, our final beer for this evening, we are going to do the second edition of Fieldberry Crush by Snake Lake. Now,
Hey-o.
I love Fieldberry Crush. It's blueberry raspberry kettle sour. It's not a Catharina Sour. It's not a collaboration. It's not a Belgian farmhouse ale. It's just a good old-fashioned kettle sour with some fruit in it. Its SRM, which is its color rating, is purple. It's just a silly, fun, fruity beer that kind of tastes like purple Slurpees in the best possible way. And it's just a beautiful way to leave this off because it's hot. It's summer. We don't need to be overthinking this. We don't want to pick apart the history of German versus Czech Pils at the tail end of July. Sometimes I just want a nice, easy drinking, bright purple kettle sour that's just going to be refreshing on a hot night. And this does exactly that. So we're going to go with this, because I'm never going to not taste Fieldberry Crush. Almost called it Purple Crusher. That is a completely different beer from a completely different brewery that got sued the hell out of a Gatorade.
Grape Crush.
Well, no, that was the one that had like the Gatorade-looking labels that they got cease and desisted, and then they basically went back to Gatorade and said, "No, we're already sold out of beer. We can't take it back." Yeah, that was the last best thing. That was a lot of fun.
Very good. But we promised to never do it again.
Well, they promised to never do it again. I made no such promises.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah.
The one thing I get on this is all natural fruit. I still get like purple freezy or purple slurpy on this, which I find very jarring in a way. No, there's nothing wrong with this on a hot day. Yeah, exactly. Aaron took a sip of this and he got this big shit-eating grin, which is exactly what this beer is meant to do. It's just silly fun. It's impossible to be bad in the mood drinking this. Yeah, I love it. I just like how fun it is. This, you know, we've touched on Catharina Sours, collaborations, all these. No, this is just fun.
Mm-hmm. Fun in a bun. Yep. Yep.
Thanks, Aaron. That rhymed.
Wiener
Well done.
roast.
And yeah, exactly. Like this and hot dogs, this and hamburgers, this and
man, totally.
nothing. Just sitting outside. And I will say, Snake Lake has kind of separated themselves. Yes, they occasionally do like crazy stuff like their Siesta Fiesta, like Margarita Sour, and their IPA with taco chips, and they certainly try their crazy stuff. But lately, they've been kind of settling into this like lake life lifestyle beer series, and like doing the Lakeshore Lager and this, and just like, relax. Let's not get really serious. This is fun, and I kind of love that. Oh, try to go back to Untold Glow. Ooh. I'm gonna drink it right out of the can because I still have beer in my glass. Oh god, it's nothing but mango juice. It doesn't even have mangoes in it, but like, this is just, after this, that's just fruit puree. That's incredible.
Crazy.
Absolutely incredible.
Huh. That's fun.
Oh, that's absolutely wild. No, okay, right. How the heck do you rank this? Okay, Untold Glow wins. It does. After that, I'm gonna give Feel Very Crushed just for being dumb, number 2, because it's fun. 3rd to the Transcontinental Pop. 4th to the Prozac. Not that there's anything wrong with the Prozac, but that's just one with a bullet for me. 3, 4, 1, 2. Chad and I are pretty darn close. 3, 2, 4, 1. All right. Got a couple 3 threes. Start 4, 3, 2, 1. Inverse order. Like it.
4, 3, 2, 1. That's close for me. Well,
you're very close at 4, 3, 2, 1.
I think I'm also 3, 4, 2, 1.
3, 4, 2, 1. That's the same as I have. So.
4, 2, 1. Yeah.
Well. That was wonderful. This was a wonderful, easy, fun.
Short and sweet.
Yeah, short, sweet, fun sour tasting.
Delightful.
Yeah. The problem is, like, the longer these go on, the more I've already covered this history, like, ad exhaustium. Like, I can't cover it anymore. There's too much to do. And nobody wants to hear the same story 500 more times. So, sometimes they're just going to be short and sweet and fun.
It's great. It's sours. It's hot. It's summer.
And you know what? They don't have to be super serious, and none of these are really that serious a beer. That one tastes like pina coladas and creamsicles. That one tastes like peaches. That one tastes like fruit juice. That one tastes like purple Slurpee. Yep. Hey, we won. We won Wednesday. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful night. Good night.